James, Ollie, thanks so much for coming on. We had a guest on from the 90s series, The Fast Show, and we took the characters and we decided to give them medical problems, and we thought we might see if we could do a similar sort of scenario with you guys and some of the characters from Harry Potter. So what I'm going to try, this is a new game, we're going to try this. I'm going to suggest a Harry Potter character, and I might suggest a medical problem. You can agree or disagree, or I might just see if you guys want to come up with a problem yourself.
Okay. This may be a lot easier doing Bob Fleming
well,
on the Fast Show.
He came out with, his was easy.
Yeah.
Try Harry Potter.
Short-sightedness.
Yeah, is that a medical problem?
Well, technically.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry if you're I wear glasses.
I'll give you a road to I would say some sort of skin thing, because he's got a big lightning bolt on his forehead.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'd gone for PTSD. I mean, he's had troubles.
Yeah.
And also rickets. He spent a lot of time understairs.
Yeah.
Hasn't had a lot of sunlight.
Yeah.
I feel that could be a medical thing coming on. And he probably walks very bow-legged as a result.
He could be
That's
very
rickets.
vitamin D deficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was what I was going with.
Yeah.
Vernon Dursley.
Oh, it's got to be high cholesterol going on there.
Like it? Yeah, I can go with that.
Anger as well. Blood pressure probably.
That's really good, yeah. Any others?
I think that's it, really. What did you say?
I've added type 2 diabetes and erectile dysfunction. Mainly because I feel this is a guy, exactly right, cholesterol, high blood pressure. He's a cardiovascular patient waiting to happen, isn't he? And we know that erectile dysfunction goes with that, and I feel like saw that whole picture, so that could work well. Hagrid?
I don't know, probably more to do with body odour. I thought Hagrid. He works he's outdoors a lot, isn't he? You know, probably a lot of respiratory issues.
I wonder if he's got high testosterone.
Oh, I like your thinking.
Because he's always outdoors. He's got a big beard.
Yeah.
Which I think is always a sign. That's just my medical opinion of.
Is that why you're trying to grow a beard?
That's exactly it. This is my height. He's always outdoors, always doing stuff. He's a strong guy.
It's a really great.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I'll dispel that. Unfortunately, testosterone doesn't make you have a better beard. It just means you're more sensitive to the testosterone you've got. So you can have low testosterone and still have a decent beard and vice versa. It's a bit of a shame. I'd gone for pituitary tumor, acromegaly, growth hormone disease. So the guy's got excess growth hormone. Do you remember watching James Bond in the 80s and those Jaws? The massive guy with the gold, metal teeth. He had a pituitary tumour.
Oh, is that like Andre the Giant?
Yeah, exactly
right.
Okay. So it's gigantism or acromegaly where you get a pituitary tumour. Kind of takes some fun out of Hagrid a little bit, but it's still where we're going with it. Voldemort.
Oh, he's got a lot going on. A lot going on.
ADHD, OCD. He's got all the Ds, isn't he?
Why ADHD and OCD?
Why ADHD?
You can't. If you're trying to if you split yourselves into 7 parts.
Well, I wouldn't say he's looking around going, he's not concentrating on something. He's very focused to me.
Well, is he though?
Oh, he looks like an absolute, he's a psychopath for one.
Well, yeah.
So there's that part going on.
I didn't know it sparked this much debate.
Yeah, I think you definitely go with that. I think you basically look at someone like, I don't know, Hitler's.
I was going to say, if you look at every dictator in history, I'm pretty sure that...
Mush them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the condition if you've got no nose?
I've heard someone say, I actually don't know, but which had been mentioned earlier, there is a condition where you have...
Snakeism, something like that.
I'll be honest with you, you guys took that in a much darker direction.
Sorry, go on.
I just gone for vitamin D deficiency, maybe osteoporosis, brittle bone disease, very pale. Alopecia, yeah. I think there's a whole sort of psychiatry nightmare you've put on that one.
Can you see my dreams?
Well, I think there's a lot to unpack on that. Last one, Fred and George Weasley.
Oh, God. They would be...
I know one medical condition.
Well, one's definitely he's got a bit of a long-term issue, hasn't he, really? as Fred.
You can be as flattering or as... I'm assuming not dead doesn't count.
Not dead. Dead doesn't count.
Pre-battle, yeah. I don't know, maybe they've been a bit... Again, it's looking more at the psychology point of view than the physical point of it. I think in terms of psychology, I think they're always just... I don't know what the psychology terminology would be, but where they just don't want to be in school. They want to do their own thing. They're very self-driven. But I don't know what medical condition would cause that.
I'd say like tennis elbow, because they're beaters in Quidditch. So a lot of repetitive strain.
Yeah, I like that.
Of that. There you go.
I think I could have either of those. Again, I'd put down impaired glucose tolerance or pre-diabetes.
Is this going to our blood test later?
It's nice to have a plan of where we're going with stuff. I'd just put it because, the running sweet shop, there's a lot of sugar involved.
Yeah,
and they move on to an international baking show, hypothetically.
Yeah, that's going to be there. There's going to be a bit of stress caused from running your own business as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking there's a lot of sugar-related gags. We could have got that. We could always bring that in later. I just wanted to double-check that you've subscribed to the show because it really helps us continue these important conversations. Thanks. It is brilliant to have both of you guys on there, especially as we haven't had two people on before, and we also haven't had, of course, twins on. And I know you have a big point of making an individual identity for yourselves, but you are effectively, and I'm sure you know, monozygotic twins, so these are twins that are effectively fertilized but then split. So your DNA is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Versus a dizygotic twin where it's just one sperm, one egg, and another sperm, another egg, which then happens to fertilize at the same time. And there's lots of twin data and lots of studies out there looking at twins. I don't know if you guys ever been involved in this stuff?
We've seen a couple and we've disproven one or two of the whole mind.
To the guy's face.
Yeah.
I remember we were on a chat show.
Go on.
And this guy was essentially saying how...
He looked like a professor as well, didn't he?
Yeah, but
in my mind, he's still wearing like a tweed jacket with like leather pads. He probably wasn't.
I can't remember where we were in the world, but basically his study was whole thing about how twins are exactly the same because of their DNA, as in like their characteristics, their thoughts and everything, because of their DNA. And I kind of just like went with I put it down to, if you put two completely opposite people in the same room all their life for the first 16, 18 years of development, essentially, you're going to start saying the same things at the same time because that's when, to get the word in that room kind of thing. And he was kind of, no, I've done studies on this. I know
there is the good argument of nature versus nurture, isn't there?
Yeah.
I guess. Have you heard of the Jim twins?
Yes.
There's two guys that were separated in the 70s and they didn't see each other for like 30 years or something. And they both married a woman called Linda or Laura. They both get divorced. No, Linda. And they both get divorced. They both marry the second woman with the similar name. They both have kids and they call their kids the same name. They both have the same jobs.
Did they not know, and they didn't know?
And then they meet up for the first time 30 years after that.
Oh, wow.
Now, obviously, a lot of that is coincidence, but that's still pretty
freaky
stuff.
All right, maybe I owe that guy an apology then.
It's the Jim twins, Jim Springer. Wow. Definitely worth reading up on. But again, you guys don't have that life now. And
no.
So what was life for you before? The pottery stuff you've done loads of. What was life like before Harry Potter in terms of being twins?
In terms of being twins, we were always... it was kind of just, that's the only normality we knew. Like, we didn't know any difference being twins. And in terms of like at school, we were in the same class until we went to senior school. Then we were split to different, we went to a state comprehensive, so it was quite a big intake in the, 8 classes per year group. So we split, there was an A block and a B block. And so I was on the A block and James was on the B block side of it. So we didn't really have any interactions at school at all. And until then, we never really did a lot like that. And like when we started filming, that's when we started having to dress the same. Because apart from having our school uniform, we didn't really dress identical, really. Even if it was similar, like as kids, I would always wear olive green for Oliver. That was always kind of a thing. You always had blue
for James,
and that was kind of where it stemmed from. But yeah, I mean, you kind of get used to a point where, and I suppose it's only looking back, there was a subconscious of, if someone shouts James, I'm kind of listening out because are they trying to get my attention or something like that. Yeah. So there is sometimes an ignorance maybe from other people about what it is to have that thing. Because I hate the terminology when someone says, "Oh, but they're the same." I hate that terminology because
I can remember doing a job. We did a job once, and we were staying in a hotel, and they booked a hotel room for us to share. And we were like, "Is everyone else sharing?" Then they're like, "Oh no." Yeah, so we kind of made a point to the individuality side of it, and like obviously we're very grateful for being twins because of the opportunities that it's provided us throughout. But equally, I always think that everyone's an individual and should be treated as such. To the extent where if someone says the twins trying to get our attention, we know they mean it, but we just ignore it because you wouldn't do that to everyone else saying like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's just something which I think just growing up we've always been told to be individuals. And
I don't know if it was something in the water as well, because in our senior school year, there was like 4 or 5 sets of twins.
yeah, there was, yeah.
There's quite a few.
Any government experiments in that area?
Maybe.
Or?
I mean, 3.
Did explain a lot, actually.
2 were identical, 2 were not.
It's oddly
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
percentage-wise, isn't it?
Yeah.
For
Then I remember we went to Japan, and these people were asking my mum, "How do you have twins? I'd really like twins."
wow.
Yeah, they were fascinating.
Because there's no genetic link and there's no familial link. It just happens, isn't it?
Well, this
So
is I only found this out actually when we were expecting our first child, because we went to the first scan and they said, "Any questions?" I went, "Is there 1 or 2?" And the midwife looked at me and said, "Well, there's 1. Why?" And I explained, and she said, "Oh, no, if you're identical, it's just an anomaly.
Yeah.
It just happens."
Okay, well, with that in mind, I'm going to see if we can try and work out how much you know about each other, or maybe in terms of health-wise.
Okay.
This is all health.
Okay, good.
So, who do you think out of you is the biggest snack eater?
Him.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How about takeaway lover?
Him.
I don't know. I do, but I'll happily cook on my own.
Yeah, but you
I'll have
You'll have one, yeah.
I'll have one.
What would be your takeaway of choice?
Depends what mood I'm in, really. It varies. Obviously, I wouldn't say I go like pizza every week or a curry every week or anything like that. So sometimes it'll be, I'm quite sociable with the family as well. Like we'll have other people over, and sometimes that's just the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think there is a sense of, to a best part, I do kind of rationality in my head. I do try and rationality in my head, like not to have just complete crap.
Yeah.
That's the balance, because there's a time when I was so strict on my food, where I was complete all in on the paleo diet, like all in.
You
on
hang
it.
around with Tom Hopper then?
Pretty much like Tom. That was, I think so, but all in on it, and I had some blood work done, and it was perfect. But the specialist I saw asked me about it, and I told him, and he was like, "Can you sustain that for the rest of your life?" I went,
Yeah.
"Not really. Like, I want to be able to enjoy stuff and go to places. So it's finding that balance, really."
Yeah, I agree. I think these are useful questions as well, because it'll come into your blood test and how it can impact that. So who do you think has the better morning routine? And by better, I mean healthier.
Me.
Really? Why?
What is your morning routine?
My morning routine.
We haven't lived together for like 20 years. But yeah, okay.
I for at least 4 days of the week. It used to be 6, but now it's only 4. I'm up at about 6 a.m. and then I'll train. I'll do either cardio and then weights, or just cardio. Like on a Saturday or Sunday morning, I'll do a run or a bike ride or paddleboarding or something like that. And then I'll eat whole grain oats, like porridge with fresh fruit and a drizzle of honey. Just 'cause it's cheeky. You can't have it all. And then I found that, I'll probably talk about it later, but at the start of the year, I broke my toe. You know, you're told don't run indoors when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And I was running indoors and
Right.
I hit my toe on the
There's a
door
reason
frame.
to say that.
Exactly. I broke my toe and I couldn't do any cardio for about 2 or 3 months at least. And that really sent me doolally, because I couldn't do what I normally do as like an out. And I found just doing weights was pretty boring for that element, if that makes sense.
Just not lifting enough. That's all.
Lifting too much. But then,
How to just cut it down.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd say that's more healthy than you.
What's yours?
Well, I get up at 7 o'clock, get the kids up, then try and get my wife up, because I'm definitely the morning person in our family. Get the kids ready, have breakfast with them, which isn't a fry-up or anything like that. It's either porridge or like an oat smoothie or something like that, and then get them to school. Then I'll come home, and then I'll have a workout. That's what I'll probably do 4 times out of the week, or play golf in the morning if I do. So yeah, it's not completely dishealthy.
Yeah, and I should caveat that so I always ask about morning routines, because it gives an idea of how people often run their day. And if the answer was, I wake up at 9, I'll have a fag, and then maybe, then you can see where the route's going to go. But there's no reason that you have to be healthy when you first wake up. I mean, it's good that you are, but you don't have to do it then.
I found that I do it then, because if I don't, I'll say I'll be like, I'll go at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock will come, I'll go at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'll just put it off. Whereas if I've done it, and then I found I didn't realize how much my mental side depended on it, because after you've done that, obviously the endorphins are going and all that kind of stuff. You feel I felt achieved of the day, even if I don't get to do much else throughout the day. I feel achieved for it, but not doing it, I definitely felt a bit of a lull feeling coming in every so often.
There are those people that can get up at 6 and train. I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I used to, and then thought, why? This isn't benefit for me. And if anything, it's nice to. I try and prioritize sleep if I can now, because there's again just reading up on studies and stuff like that. Yeah, you say that, but yeah, no, but I try and do that, and then I've actually got into. It's only a thing in the last maybe. I did run a marathon towards the end of last year.
Just drop that in.
Just drop that in.
I was going to say we did quite well there.
I was trying to hold on. And then, but about 2 months before that or so, I tried to just think of different ways to do any conditioning, strength work. I started doing Pilates just once a month, just once a week. And actually, once you get past the fact that I'm the only guy in there, and although I went in the other day and there was one guy and he came up and shook my hand, he was like, "There's another. I knew there'd be another." But yeah, I feel much better for it, even just once a week. Like, it just stretches you out.
Yeah.
But again, as you said, I think if I got up straight away and did it, I don't think I'd feel as the benefit for the rest of the day. Maybe even feel tired for doing it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily help.
And yet you're definitely better at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, twin studies my arse. Okay, who's better, do you think, with mindfulness and mental health activities?
My mindfulness or mindful of other people?
I don't know. Maybe your own to start with.
Do you mean who can cope with?
Yeah, who manages their own mental stress better?
I would definitely say I'm a long time work in progress on that.
So me.
Yeah, probably changed, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's been times when it's been really, really dark, like suicidal dark.
Yeah.
But then it's just kind of like, that was a long-term thing anyway, like a long build-up, and then it kind of just exploded to a point. And then, like anything, you have peaks and troughs. I see a psychotherapist every 6 weeks or so, which I find is like the perfect balance for me to just vent, or he'll actually call me out and go, "You've been a bit of a dick." So it's quite good in that regard. But then also I find that you find coping mechanisms, again, like working out or going for a run, going for a walk. Sometimes that can be really beneficial to that.
I mean, again, I would say this kind of dispels the idea that if you're a monozygotic twin, you should follow those same pattern. But clearly, it's entirely different.
I've always found that my.
It was my chair. It's not my bowels.
We're not judging.
We're not judging there. I've always found that any outdoor activity, that's when I process stuff. So when I'm running, I'll do between a 5 and 10K usually if I'm running. And then if I'm bike riding, I'm on it for about 2 hours. And yeah, every so often I'll go with friends to do them, but 9 times out of 10 I'm on my own. Or if I'm paddleboarding, my dog comes with me and just sits on the paddleboard, and I'll just chat to him about what's going on, or I'll think over process of things that may be a bit of a struggle at the time. And every so often I've got a therapist that I speak to once in a while, but I found that it just how I think getting that away from everybody, getting away from the noise, helps me process things a lot easier in that regard.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, last one. Who's got the biggest sweet tooth?
Ooh, I think we both have. That's inherited from our dad.
Yeah,
he's awful. But I think it's
awful but lovable.
Like, lovable. Well, it's awful, but he will be. He's very. My dad can be very. What's the word? All in on something. So sometimes he'll go completely just cold turkey. No,
but I'm very much like that as well.
Yeah.
Because
like, I'm only going to have a salad for like now. I'm not going to eat after whatever time. But then you'll go around and, oh God, I shouldn't have that, but I will. Right. And then I think Mum's got to the age now where you go around and there's just sweets there. Do you want this chocolate?
In a little
tray? I'm just going to leave this whole bar of caramel biscuits right next to you. So yeah, I think I'm quite good in terms of, if it's not there, I won't go looking for it. But if it is, I'll probably work my way through.
Same. Similar.
Yeah, I mean,
but you'll go months without having dessert and stuff.
So I did a thing where we spent, my wife and I many years ago, we were in the States for about a month, and the last week of the trip we were working in Orlando, and I went to one of the water parks on a day off, and I saw a photo of me doing a cannonball, and I looked like a bull, like I'd put on that much cuddly loveliness, shall we say? So I literally went cold turkey on anything. I didn't read into it. It was basically like, what's not good for you.
Yeah.
So I just basically cut all that out. And
Did your wife refer to you as having cuddly loveliness? Or was that...
no, that was me.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, they looking like a judging way, but no, she didn't really. I was just very much like I was adamant I didn't want to look like that. So much so that, and then I swapped my training up for high reps, low weight training. And so I literally do like 100 reps on every body exercise for 5 days a week. I got down single figure body fat. I was literally like,
God.
Boring.
well, but then on the 100th day, so I'd literally go 100 days without, and then I'd have a 100-day just binge.
Right. That is all in.
And then I'd feel amazing, but then disgusting for it, because obviously your body's not used to that spike of stuff. And then I would then go off again for another 100 days, and which it worked well. But I've looked at myself since, as in I've looked at photos since, and I look like a cyclist pretty much. Like I was about 75 kilo. And I'm 6'2" and a bit, so it's not really where you're not meant to be.
Yeah.
But
I feel there's a lot we could unpack if we had another couple of hours.
probably. And then after a couple of years, and then after I would say about 2.5 years of doing that or so, I just started then going 50 days, and then I eased off to then just don't be binging every meal or something like that. You know.
Why don't we have a look at some exciting blood tests for you guys?
Okay.
If you could predict blood test trends of who might have higher risk or healthier in some aspect, what would you say?
I would say I am probably blood-wise.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised my cholesterol's lower
Okay.
than thee. And yeah, I'm trying to think. And then probably hydration-wise, James is probably better than me, if that's on there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I would say so, because that's one of my faults. I don't drink enough water as much. Sometimes I do, and I'll go like a big jug of water, and I'll be necking it and going to the toilet every 5 minutes. Whereas other days I probably won't. And I forgot the blood test was being done that day as well, so it was kind of a rush to the door and answer. Yeah, that would be probably what I would say.
You know, just to break off that, just a question: if you're not drinking a lot of water, but you have a hydration tablet, does that counteract it, or is it?
Unless the hydration tablet is made of water.
No.
No. I don't think there's such thing as hydration tablets.
Okay.
So what is the benefit? Is there no benefit in having them then?
No.
Is it just a bit of salt to make it stick to your system?
So you can buy hydration supplements.
Yeah.
And if you are an elite sportsman or have a medical condition where you lose a lot of salts, so for example, patients with cystic fibrosis often lose a lot of salts because it's part of their medical condition, then you might need excess electrolytes or supplementation, especially in the summer because they'd sweat a lot more. If you're fit and healthy and you're not marathon running, just to put that back in
I won't be doing it again.
regularly, then you don't need electrolytes in your diet and you don't need extra hydration or anything. You just drink. And one of our profs from renal, just because it is a bit of a rant that we have, was very mindful that there's this big thing about making sure you drink enough.
Yeah.
But you have kidneys and your kidneys will tell you when you haven't drunk enough because you'll get thirsty. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to drink as much as people. Okay. And I think one of my pet peeves, I realise you're the guest here, but if you ever see one of these bottles with like reminders to remind people to drink, like Jesus, you're not going to beat evolution.
No.
Like, we've got millions of years to develop a very sophisticated system that says, drink. It will tell you when you're ready. You don't need to have anything this stuff. And there's no evidence for hydration, like tablets or supplements at all.
And could that be almost like a headache as well? Could that be your body telling you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are obvious things. If you've drunk 10 mils of fluid since you've got up and it's 6 p.m. and you think, I've got a cracking headache, then that's probably right.
Yeah.
If your pee's like treacle, then probably you should have had some more fluid. But most of the time, we're pretty sensitive to it. And your urine will concentrate. So you'll have darker wee.
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't need to...
Some of the most satisfying wees you can have is when it's clear, isn't it? Without sounding too crude.
Satisfying.
That's really satisfying.
You need to get out more, you do.
I'm winning at life right now,
I don't know anyone. Have you never said you've had a satisfying wee?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe when like you're really desperate.
I was going to say, that's desperate. When you're like, actually, it's not yellow this time.
One car trip when you see the moto.
Okay. Wow. That's an unusual insight.
We've done a few things today, haven't we? Yeah.
Well, we all have. Okay, let's start with cholesterol, because you're both on a statin, aren't you?
Yep.
And there's a family history of high cholesterol.
Yep.
Hypercholesterol familiar, I believe it's called. And that runs through both sides of our family, which we were diagnosed when I was probably 25, maybe something like that. So they got it relatively early. It's just been a way of basically stopping a heart attack.
What was your cholesterol before you started treatment? Roughly.
I couldn't tell you, but I know that we were like on the border of the NHS.
In your 20s?
Yeah, I think it was like 5.5, 6. I think
still pretty high for that age.
It's pretty high.
Yeah.
But then the guy that we see he kind of goes on data as well as then looks at family history and that kind of stuff. So we're very lucky that he's just the local guy.
Yeah, that's good.
Where we go
down the road. Yeah.
Okay, just because there's too many numbers to remember. So in terms of lower cholesterol, total, James wins. Yours is 4. Yours is 4.4.
Okay.
So close. In terms of LDL, yours is 2.03, James. And
LDL being?
LDL is the bad cholesterol, the one you want to try and get down as much as possible, because that's the one that tends to stick to things. And Ollie, yours is 2.05.
Oh, okay.
Now, I would argue there's a negligible difference really between those two, and they're both doing their job. Although, interestingly, you're on ezetimibe as well.
Yes. Yeah, we're both on it.
You're both on ezetimibe and rosuvastatin.
I'm on. Are you on both of them?
I'm on rosuvastatin, yeah.
So you're on both?
Yeah, I tried the other statin, what they prescribed, but I kept getting like really weird jaw ache. Really random.
Yeah, it's quite common at all.
Just talking.
I think so, yeah. Wasn't satisfying.
In terms of general health, your full blood count, your immunity, your kidneys, your liver, you're both pretty much the same. And I don't mean in terms of
buggered.
Really bad stuff is happening. But general health-wise, your core markers are good for both of you. In no way relating to the fact you're related, just you both fit in with that normal range. And that's a good sign, because young-ish men, and I class men in our 40s, are still relatively young, who have anemia or who have problems with their liver, we don't know why, or problems with their immune system, that usually is a sign that bad stuff is happening. So if those are normal, instantly most doctors are like, okay, not so bad, we can look at other stuff now. Interestingly, James, your insulin levels and what we call homocysteine, which is a marker of cardiovascular disease, is higher.
Yep.
Now, whether that's just the fact you had a lot of cake the day before, I don't know.
Well, I'm actually, so I don't know how much I want to talk about this, but tomorrow I'm having a cardiovascular check because I keep getting heartburn every so often. So that could be a...
Could that be related from a shock at some point?
No. This is more of a lot. So insulin levels are going to be higher if you just had something sugary.
Yeah.
So your insulin levels are high, but it can also be a marker of pre-diabetes. But both your HbA1c, your average blood sugar measures over time were completely normal.
Yeah.
So whether this picture view is this kind of familial hypercholesterolemia cardiovascular disease thing that's starting to trickle up a little bit, possibly, because obviously you've got this family history of your dad having cardiovascular disease. But the advantage you've got, of course, is that this is just an indicator of what could happen, not an indicator of what is going to happen now.
Right.
So
it's not a worrying level.
No. Okay. And it just means, well, what would you do with this? Well, I'd make sure my blood pressure is okay, and I'd make sure my cholesterol was okay, and I'd make sure I wasn't running baking shows and eating all the cake all the time.
That's the thing. But actually, in doing that, we were speaking with one of the judges, Carla Hall, and she said, if you're going to be eating cake, make sure you have a lot of protein before you come to work, because that counterbalances.
Why?
She said it for your gut health. It totally counterbalances basically sitting on the loo for the rest of the day.
I was doing a 5K before. I'd run a 5K before work, and then I wouldn't have any guilt eating the cake. It's probably not the best advice, is it? But
I'm not putting down that as medical advice for this, no. I think, so overall, actually, your average blood sugar was better than Ollie's over time. So you have slightly better blood sugar. So in a sense, you probably could get away with eating a bit more sugar. Not that you should be, but it's an average, and that's absolutely fine. And the only other interesting one was testosterone. So what time of day did you have your blood test done?
Mine was in the morning. It was probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about midday.
Okay. So yours, okay, I'll take this around because it might be more interesting. Who do you think has more testosterone flying around?
Him.
Thank you. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's correct.
Yeah.
Not massively.
I'm only saying that because he's angry all the time.
But I'd like to clarify that it's not a sign of testosterone. We are. So yours came back at 14 nanomoles per litre.
Okay.
Which is not brilliant, but okay, a little bit below where we'd like it to be. The optimal is around 15 to 30.
Right, okay.
But above 12 is acceptable if you don't have any symptoms.
Yeah.
Yours came back at 11 nanomoles per litre, which is below. But again, and this is the point of why we check testosterone. It's part of a bigger picture of, well, are you well in yourself? Do you have symptoms of low testosterone like tiredness or fatigue or brain fog or a loss of sex drive or just feeling like you can't be as much of you as you were maybe a few years before?
Probably fatigue,
and there can be
I'd say,
signs of it.
Yeah, fatigue maybe more.
We would never treat you based off one result because that's quite immoral, really. But it might be the sign that we should check it again and see if that level is repeatable. And then if you still had symptoms, we'd say, well, maybe it's something you should look into.
Right.
Can things like that be affected by like long scale travel in terms of like, say, about a week or two before we did the blood test, we were in Canada for like 2 days in Vancouver. Fly back.
If it disrupts your sleep, it could.
Yeah, like with the whole sleep pattern. And
so people massively underestimate the impact of sleep on your testosterone production. And we do often see people with young kids, for example, whose testosterone plummet, like the male, theirs plummets because their sleep is disrupted from a child. But you can also get it in jet lag and other things. So you need about 7 or 8 hours of decent sleep a night to get a testosterone surge to produce your morning testosterone. If you don't get that, the level's always going to be lower. And that's the other reason why if you ever say to somebody your testosterone's low, well, then I want to know what's in your lifestyle first we can try and fix before we start giving you medicines, because that's not the right way to do it. So I think for you, travel's probably a good reason, but just check it again and then we know whether things are real.
And what's the antidote for that?
Lifestyle-wise, exercise better,
eat
better, not too much cake, protein first.
I don't eat cake all the time.
So decent sleep.
Could that be a difference though in terms of like if so the workouts I do are more strength based as opposed to rep based. Could that be an indicator that's
that's a really good question actually. There is a presumption that if you want to increase your testosterone, you need to do weights. The evidence is actually it's just about the intensity of whatever you do.
Okay.
So the studies haven't looked at things like Pilates or stretching training around that sort of yoga, that sort of stuff. And it seems they don't produce the same surge in testosterone because they're not producing that same metabolic spike. But if you look at somebody who's a shortish or middle distance runner, a swimmer, weightlifter, HIIT training, doesn't matter. As long as you push it hard enough for 30, 40 minutes, you will still get a testosterone surge. And that's what you're looking for. I think there's some suggestions around longer distance athletes who can actually suppress their testosterone because you drive the system so hard, cortisol levels go up, you start to lose body weight, etc. It doesn't mean they're not very good at their sport.
So just when you're coasting, as opposed to push, like say, if you're pushing yourself to get the 5K PB kind of thing, whereas when you're doing a 10K, you're passing your...
Yeah, but I'm talking much longer, really. I'm talking like marathon runners. Yeah. Oh, I just bring that up again there.
I've done one as well. I did one for him, and I had a better time. I'm sorry, his broken leg.
I think it's more so it's long distance athletes who do it repeatedly. That's where we start to see it.
Yeah,
and you often hear women who do long distance sport often stop having periods, and the same reason occurs with men. You should not be thinking about procreation, which you need testosterone for, if you're emaciated and you don't know where your next calories are coming from because you need it to perform some physical activity. And that's the principle behind it. So last thing we did with you was your Q-risk score. And obviously, as I explained before, Q-risk is a very good sensitive marker we use in the NHS to give you an indicator of your 10-year risk of having a cardiovascular event, so a stroke or heart attack. We give you a percentage, and then I let you guess at what each of your percentages might be.
Okay. As in, what's bad?
So anything above anything above 20% would be quite significant as a medical problem.
Okay.
But
after hearing all that, I reckon about 20%.
I would say just heart rate or anything like that go towards this.
Nope.
Okay. 10, about 11?
Okay.
12?
James?
So about 15.
So you guys are actually really good. Okay. And it's a really positive thing. So your result came at 2.8%.
Oh, wow.
And yours is 2.2%.
Okay.
And the only reason you have those variations at all is the fact your cholesterol levels were just very slightly different. And that's it. Effectively, your blood markers were really good. You are generally healthy guys. We said those core markers are good, but in addition to all the stuff I discussed, your vitamin levels were good. Your kidney function was actually perfect. There was no indication of dehydration at all. Your urea level was normal, so you're not dry. Your cancer markers like prostate and stuff were all completely normal. Your thyroid was normal. Your vitamin D was normal. Everything else was really positive. So the only reason you're scoring 2 rather than like 0 is 1, you're 40. So if you were 20, you'd have even less, but we have to die from something. And the other reason is family history. If your father has a heart attack or cardiovascular problem under the age of 60, that increases your percentage risk by 1% or so.
Because our granddad did as well. Yeah.
So it really is a really strong family history.
Yeah, it goes through the family, yeah.
But the beauty of these things, like the Q risk, and you may say, well, like, how does 2.8% mean anything to me in real life? On a day-to-day basis, it doesn't. But it means that you can then amend things in your lifestyle now so that you don't have that heart attack. And a bit like going for a scan or a check is a useful thing to do, because 30 years ago, well, you just had your heart attack and then we dealt with it. Now what we're trying to do in men's health and preventative health in particular is we want to prevent that problem ever happening. So we deal with your cholesterol when you're younger. We sort your blood pressure out so that you can die at 100 getting hit by a bus or something positive rather than not
going for a rinse, trying to outrun the...
Yeah, let's think of it in a positive way.
Making the crossing.
Exactly.
Making the crossing.
But it wasn't a heart attack is the point. So we're trying to shift that into a world of positivity, and it makes a big difference doing these things.
So what would you say we could do to get better then now?
Well, your cholesterol levels could be a tiny bit better, I guess, but I don't think they're awful.
No.
And I think I'd probably have a better look. So individually, I'd look at your case would be sleep. I think that'd be better. And I know you're getting up at 6, but are you getting enough the night before to match those numbers you need?
I'm a prime example of going to bed at about 9:30, 10, but I'll read a book till about 11:30, 12. And then I got really into random. I got really into reading about a year ago. Again, I just discovered a book which I was given for my 21st birthday, and I never read it. And I took this book all around the world with me twice, thinking I'm going to read it. And I never did. And then I moved house, and my wife said, "Can you just read this book so we don't need to keep carrying it around everywhere?" Anyway, read this book, really enjoyed it, and then I've been reading ever since. So there's a little caveat for you. I don't know why I'm...
But it's good, but maybe...
But is that not giving me the mental sleep that I need, as not just your body rest, but like your brain still processing as well?
I don't know. It's only really since I've got one of these fancy watches which tells you the sleep score, and it's a Garmin, so it doesn't say you did a great job. It's like, you are crap.
Well, if I spin it the other way around and said, if there was something that you could each do in your own lives that you think could improve your lifestyle based off this, what would you do?
Mine would be probably not necessarily calorie counting, because I'm actually the heaviest that I've ever been, like old money, 14 stone, which still isn't big for 6'3". But it would probably be more a case of getting set meals in place, because we eat as a family every evening, and that's one meal there. But like maybe throughout the day, less snacking, or I mean, we've just had, it was my birthday about 2.5 weeks ago. It's my wife's birthday last week, and we have cake in the house, and it's just, I'll have a bit of that. Have a bit of that. So it's been a bit more regular. But as I say, if it's not in the house, it's not there. That would probably be one I'd say.
I think that's good.
I suppose sleep and rest would be.
Both of these are minor things that you can do on a day-to-day. They don't require like medicines or massive changes, but could make enough just to get you a little bit down on those scores, I think.
What would you recommend as well?
Or do that. I think the way I'd look at it is, if I would look at what am I doing on a day-to-day basis that I'm thinking, I know in the back of my mind I could do a little bit better. And that's the kind of little change you want to make. If you tell somebody something drastic, they tend to just go, it's too hard, it's too big a jump. But little changes make a big difference. So an hour's extra sleep or one less snack over a year is an enormous difference. And that's what you want to try, because then it's sustainable.
Yeah, because I always remember when we were told, I was told to you got to start taking the statin. And I remember it just seemed like the most biggest news, like I've got to take a tablet for the rest of my life. Is that really where I'm at? But actually it's nothing. Like it's nothing. I put it with my toothbrush so I don't forget it. Because there can be days when you just forget all about it. With it not being like you're going to drop dead if you don't have it.
Have you experienced any backlash or negativity from people when you've discussed being on a statin?
Yeah. Oh, I have. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think some people think that it's, I remember the first thing when I had it, the consultant said to me, just so you're aware, there is a 1% chance of having diabetes from having this statin. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Well, the alternative is I don't, and my arteries get filled and blockage. But other than that, but yeah, I've had one or two people reach out.
Have a suggestion for a Man Alive episode or thought about something said in this episode? Comment below and I read every one. We're going to try something new in the Man Alive podcast today. It's a new segment we're trialing. It's called the Wheel of Health. It's got no expense spent. And what we're going to do is bring on this device and then we're going to see if we can take a deep dive into some of your health elements, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Spin or symptom? Give it a good, that was not a great spin, but we'll go with it. 3 question marks. Tell me something surprising about your health that other people might not know.
I get obsessed with, if I start a new sport or a new exercise or something, like I'm all in. I'm literally super obsessed with it. To the degree that I think it's either I want to know about it or I want to know why my body doesn't do what it should be doing when it is. So when I ran the marathon,
There we go.
here we go. I kept getting really big blood blisters on my foot. And I was literally that person. I was a typical bloke who would be like, I'll be all right. I'll just get rid of it when I finish. But then I went to a guy and it turns out that when I run, my left foot's fine. My right foot goes at an angle.
Mine does the exact same. Exact same.
And so it's cushion. So it's like rubbing on your foot. So that kept, obviously you do that so many times, it blisters. So then basically you just get a cushioned plaster, cut the hole in the middle. So then there's a gap. And then
That's it.
Another one, I got a broken finger, which never healed.
Like that.
How's that one? Okay, should we go with that one instead? All right. I've got a broken finger, which never healed. I was boxing and I did a punch, but I hadn't wrapped my hands up properly. And I slipped and I broke the bone off that tiny bit. Put it in a stint, but couldn't be a splint. Put it in a splint.
Stint.
Splint.
Yeah.
Didn't leave it on for long enough. And essentially what I learned was that both, obviously that bit pulls down and that bit pulls the other way. Because I'd broken that off, it was still pulling down and it set there. So that's literally
So it's called a mallet finger.
yeah.
We could have that repaired for you if you wish.
I went to it, but they said that there's literally,
We could amputate.
he said that the guy I saw who's one of my mates who plays for England cricket put me in contact with their guy, and he was basically saying there's about a 1 mil they could deal with, where the way it's set to fix it so it works properly. Otherwise you just get it so it's stuck like that.
That's worse, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's
So,
like this all the time.
like, it doesn't affect my grip or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. The only problem is at a concert you can't do the devil horns anymore. Sorry, that went.
Probably shouldn't be doing that at 40
Yeah.
anyway. Can you reach the... can you give it a good spin?
It's meant to
And it
be.
comes on again.
Oh,
Stress.
what stresses you out now?
I find that, I think because we're self-employed, so when thinking about financial issues, which, although I've always been very, very, to the best part, cautious and, don't just go and buy a Ferrari. I will actually do something practical with it.
Or Morgan.
Yeah, does anyone want to buy a Morgan? Let me know. Yeah? But I think in terms of, that's probably one thing that does always creep up on me, even though I work on sometimes when it comes to finances and budgeting, I will always look on the worst case scenario because I find that makes you a bit more cautious.
Yeah.
When, why are we not moving into this massive, massive house? Well, the one we've got is perfectly fine. It's got everything we need. So there's that probably adds a stress level to it. And then other stuff like kids.
Yeah.
Like thinking about not just, am I doing a good job? But now I'm starting to notice a few differences in our eldest daughter. She's 9. And then the horrible H word, the hormone word, has been mentioned by a teacher. She was saying it's happened quite a few kids in the class. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So now it's almost relearning or coming up with different ways of talking to her and trying to get a response. And we've always, ever since she was little, and we do the same with her sister, is I work on a be your best mentality. So don't try and be the best. Just be the best you can be. That way you'll sleep better. You'll be able to go to bed knowing that you've done the best you could do. And I've noticed that she's really sports orientated, and that really helps her because like she plays rugby, and there's not one person she won't try and tackle or try and ride a tackle or try and score. Cross country she does really well in and stuff like that, and that's because she's not trying to win it. She's trying to do the best that she can do. But then thinking to myself, well, am I pushing her too much? Am I not pushing her enough in other regards? Because she's dyslexic, which I probably am. I've never been tested in it, but it's hereditary, they say. So is that a part of it? So that stuff like that does get on my wick a little bit. And drivers as well. God,
I didn't know this was going to be a long list.
We're going to keep going, yeah.
Okay, drivers?
Yeah, just anyone who's not me on the road. Yeah.
Obviously, both of you have health and fitness as a significant part of your life now. How does filming or being part of that TV world influence your ability to stay healthy?
Yeah, it does. I remember when we were filming, going back to Potter many years ago, we were filming the 5th movie, and there's a scene when we are in these short sleeve shirts, and it's like, I think we're on a bed and we're talking with the characters. And I remember being so self-conscious about how ropey my arms looked.
Wow.
Yeah, I am to this day.
No, I know. I've always been.
No, to this day, I'm still body conscious.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. But I don't know if it didn't necessarily stem from that, because I've always been quite gangly. Well, we always have been. But it was, I remember specifically seeing it and thinking on a playback and thinking, oh my gosh, do I really look like that thin and scrawny? To the point where I would go to the hotel. We used to live in a hotel. And I would go to the gym and just do.
Oh, because we didn't get on with our parents.
No. We lived quite a few hours away, and I would just go on no training in weights or anything like that. But I'd just get really light weights and just try and do something to feel better. And then about maybe a month or two later, we were filming, and the director said to me, David, he just went, "Have you been working out?" And I went, "A little bit, yeah." And he went, "Yeah, probably best not. Continuity."
Ooh.
I was like, oh yeah, of course. So there is that.
But you noticed.
Side. But I mean, it was good. But I was doing that the whole time. But yeah, and then ever since then, I think it's been a case of right. Okay, I need to try. But then again, I find it hard to keep muscle on unless I'm doing it constantly. I find that quite a challenge. And then also doing it while traveling as well. He's trying to find a good little routine to get into.
It must be hard if you're traveling.
I've always done, wherever I've gone, I do a 5K the first morning I arrive. So I go on Strava or what other apps are available, where you make a map of where you are, or see if there's one already preset. And basically I do normally about a sunrise run wherever I am. And it just gets me in the time zone from where I am. I then know where I am, as in like the city or town where I'm in. I've got a geography idea of what's going on. And that time of morning, I always find that that's when you see the real place, because you see all the locals getting ready or something like that. And that's normally been my fitness routine anywhere in the world where I've been. And I've probably not best to do it in certain place where I've done it, because
I did that in Nashville, and I tell you what, I got a really good 1K time at one point, because it was I went 2 blocks too many.
Gun it down the side, yeah. But we were in northern Iceland once, in a town called Húsavík, which was like a beautiful fishing village. And I did a 5K down there, and it was literally just me running down this side. And there's a tiny little fishing boat on this idyllic ocean, and he came in. And my map literally ended me up by this harbour. I literally just started speaking to this fisherman for 20 minutes, and I wouldn't have had, and that's still one of the best things I've ever had experienced. Like, I got quite emotional really in the regards to like how lucky I am to be doing all this. And if I hadn't had this routine that I do wherever I travel, I wouldn't have had that experience kind of thing. So yeah, that's long answer. Sure.
No, it's good though. Do you remember other people involved in filming, specifically Potter, I guess, who were quite health conscious?
There's a few people who are really like just on their fitness, which is great to see. I remember Dan Radcliffe, and he still is, isn't he? He's like a really hits it really well. But on the most part, everyone was most people just left to their own devices, like what they want to do. Like you could literally, I remember on the earlier films, my breakfast was pretty much every day was a bacon and egg bap, or cob if you're from Birmingham. And it was, yeah, and it was just one of those things where, again, then kids be kids, but also, I suppose now being the health conscious, I'd be like, once in a blue moon, that's not bad. But it just became, I suppose, like anything, when you just get used to doing.
But it wasn't like Robbie Coltrane's smashing protein shakes.
I don't remember that happening. No, I don't. Although I do remember being on the treadmill in the hotel the once, and Martin Bayfield was there, who was Robbie's body double, and obviously ex-England second row, and he was on the bench press, and he was like, "Oh, can you squat for me?" I remember thinking, "Mate, if you can't hold this, you
Back to weedy arms.
I'm there, like, you know, with my
You recognise when
I'm there with my little cocktail sticks, like trying to hold it up. But yeah, so you do see a few different ones, yeah.
How do you think your sugars are when you're on your baking show?
So obviously they get a bit higher, but we're not. No, to be fair, I'm binging on sweets.
Yeah,
but like they're high. But like, so I'm doing. It's not like I'm not doing a cardio workout to. Not that it justifies it, but I'm not. But I don't end the show heavier than I started.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that also helps me mentally as well, because I would go to bed being like looking at myself in the mirror.
Because you do have to try this stuff, don't you?
We don't have to, but when it's there, you can. I mean, it was my wife's birthday the other week, and I was very lucky to be able to get in touch with one of the bakers, Molly, and she made this cake for it, and it tasted unbelievable.
Because these guys are the best at what they do, so it'd be wrong of us not to.
Well, again, it's like going back to that. Make it like you don't want to do yourself out of an experience or doing something. So I always remember years and years ago, for Lent, I gave up alcohol. Okay, fine, lots of people do it. But I remember we went on a press trip to Italy.
Oh, I don't know who did that.
And we were at this amazing restaurant in Rome. Companies got the credit card out. They got a fantastic bottle of red. And I remember to this day saying, "No, I'm okay." And the guy who worked for the Italian team was just like, "Really?" Yeah. And to this day, I can remember thinking I would have been happier. Okay, religious side of it. It's like having that wine. And just enjoying the moment and being able to do it. It's not a crutch. It's not anything like that. It would have been lovely to be able to do that. Because I think growing up, but then again, when we were younger anyway, we used to go out when we were 18, 19, 20. We would go with a generation where you go out.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
There's a great nightclub in Birmingham, Snobs, 50p a shot. And we, go all in.
Pound of beer.
There was a vending machine next to the gents where you could go. Yeah, anyway. Going way off it now.
Yeah,
but alcohol's always been there, but I suppose really limiting it, and it's never been. Luckily, we've always been in a part where we can switch it off for months on end.
I remember pound a pint.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit older than you guys, but I don't think there's anywhere in the UK you can get pound a pint now. And if it is, it's not going to be something
you don't want to drink it.
You don't want to drink it anyway. Well, I found actually getting older, I can't drink beer anymore. Guinness I can have, but yeah, wheat beer or anything like that, my gut just completely expands. So
I'll move on very slightly to the psychological stress of being in your industry in general, I think, because I think it's got a reputation as being cutthroat, doesn't it? It's not supportive of mental health in general. Is that fair to say?
I'd say so. Yeah. There are a lot more people talking about it now. And I've got friends that, like a friend told me a stat where 1% of actors in the world are in employment. And only 10% of that 1% in a year you're employed more than 3 times. So it's such like it is, and it could be, and you may not get a part just for your look. You may not get a part for the star that you're acting for the specific part. And there's so many different variables.
And you won't be told why.
And it's very much like you send the tape in or you have an audition and you're not told why, what you can work on. Like there's nothing, it's just cutthroat and done. And a friend of mine I speak to the other day, and we kind of just had a chat about it because I saw he put a thing on his Instagram and he was kind of talking about it, and I just messaged him like, "It's completely get this," and he was saying that quite a few people have messaged him saying, "I thought I was the one who thought like your self-worth kind of thing. Am I doing the right thing?" And other people, when the older you get in it, obviously you've got more responsibilities, you've got mortgages, you've got families to support, all this kind of stuff. And he was saying that another friend of his was questioning, is it a selfish profession to have? Because you can't guarantee to get the employment constantly to provide it. So there is quite a mental side of it. And it's always told like you can't take the rejection personally. But I'd challenge anyone not to take any rejection of some
If you care
description.
for anything, you're going to take it. You're not going to be like this. You get to a point where you're like, all right, if I don't get it, fine. But you still put time to try and get into that role.
Because if you go in with that mentality, though, then you're not given your all to do it. So then you're less likely to get the job. So you got to be all in for that moment and be able to leave it there.
So odds are you're not going to get a role that you apply.
Odds are there's probably another 50 people going for that same part. But then
I can remember I was in America about 10 years ago, and I was down for the final two of I got to the screen test and all this kind of stuff. So you go in the studio, and they brought in the girl that was going to be acting opposite the character which I was auditioning for, and she was 5'2", and the other actor who was auditioning for the same part as me was 5'8", and I'm 6'2.5", and it was just like, it's not going to play it well on camera, and that's what happened. Yeah.
But then I think as well, you get that. So it was, what really made me struggle for many years was adapting this mask, like a mental mask, what I would call it, where you would be like, everything's brilliant, everything's happy, I'm so da-da-da. And I found that by wearing that too much, you'd lose any enjoyment. I got to a point where I just wasn't enjoying stuff. And because I forgot what that felt like, because everything was always, brilliant, isn't this great? But really in your head, you're not taking any of it in. And I remember one of the standout moment for that was we were in Amsterdam, and we were at Ajax, and we were in the Royal Box. Edwin van der Sar was the club president, presented us kit, like shirts, and it was unbelievable. And I remember sitting there just completely numb. And that's when I thought, this is not good here. And I think it's because I'm always trying to play up to, I don't want anyone to ever meet me and think, what a knob. Like, I want to think he's a nice guy, like, can chat to, and I'll chat with people.
You mean you can?
It'll happen.
It's going to happen.
It still happens, no doubt. But at the time, especially, if you're driving, I'll get all sorts. But at the time, I was very, very conscious of that. As opposed to now, I'm a bit better to say, do you mind not today? I'm with the kids, or I'm doing whatever. But that was a real thing. And then it got to a point where we're trying to unpackage all that.
What do you do after that? So is it like this light bulb moment where you go, this isn't right?
Yeah, that was literally, it got to that point, but then I kind of suppressed it a bit longer, and then I was in a car crash, which brought everything to the forefront because, again, I couldn't train then.
Were you badly injured?
Yeah, I broke 3 ribs, had to get a nose reconstruction, so because my septum was completely concaved, pretty much forged 2 discs in my neck these are the injuries that kept me in the car. So God knows what would happen if I was going
Bent
on
fingers or?
No, fingers were all right. They were all right actually.
Okay, fine.
But it was a case where I was going down a road, 50-mile-an-hour road. Taxi driver pulled out, didn't look, hit me side on, straight into another car coming 50 mile an hour.
Which was carrying a caravan, wasn't it?
He was carrying a trailer, yeah. So luckily we were both in 4x4s and we could walk out, because otherwise, if I was on the Morgan, that game over.
Yeah.
But that moment when you think I'm dead, and I'm quite glad because I didn't want my last words on this earth to be 4 letters. Like, it wouldn't have been bad.
No.
But anyway, so and on the back of that, you couldn't train, so your endorphin levels drops, and that really hyped it up and up and up. And again, I was masking it more that I was feeling so bad. And then that got to a point where it was, it all just came to the end, and I'm seconds away from driving off the end of the M40. So it was got home and said, right, I need to get help here. And I don't know if it's irony or what, or fate, but I Googled it, mental health place, and it was Mental Health Day, 10th of October. And it was just really like, this is a bit bizarre.
That is quite weird.
You know what I mean? I don't know if the signs or whatever, but anyway, so started seeing someone, and then basically it was just years of unpacking. And I think quite a lot of it was not knowing who I was, genuinely who I was. And I'm a lot better now. There's still times when you have a bit of a wobble, but I think everyone does. But it's knowing that coping mechanism to a point.
All right, closing questions then. And you answered relatively briefly on this because it could be a whole topic in itself. What does good health for both of you look like in maybe 10, 20 or 30 years?
Abs. No, it's
quads.
Yeah.
Calves. I've got a good calf game, actually. Still being able to... There's a guy down the road from me. So I live near the coast, and there's a guy from me who's 92, and he still looks like he's 60. And I've spoken to him quite a few times, and he does 3 30 press-ups a day, 30 lunges, like just does a morning routine. And if I can be like that guy, I'll be more than happy, because he's physically able to do things. And like, you know, when you pull your back or something and you think, I can't bend down to pick something. And I have such sympathy, I guess, for people that when they get older, that's what they have to deal with. And I never want to
So for
be
you,
like
it's
that.
Health span, isn't it? Not
Yeah,
lifespan, it's health
exactly.
span.
If I could, I don't care about living to be 100 if I'm not being able to do anything. Like, I'd rather be able to do stuff and while I'm here. So yeah, I'd say that.
I think mine would be, exactly like being able to go out and do stuff, being able to play golf with my kids, or just something like that. I think being able to be active and go out there, and there's a group of old boys at my golf club. They're all in their 80s and 90s, and some of them don't necessarily play golf anymore, but they have the social side of it. They still have that camaraderie and be able to get out and see your mates. And I think that's one of the top bits for me. And it's like, we lost a very dear friend of mine last year. He just turned 60. Didn't check his prostate, and within 3 months, from diagnosis to death. And that's the thing where, and the only caveat, I suppose you could say good thing is he lived his life. There wasn't a day that he didn't do what was on offer. But that's the thing where, if anyone's watching this, is check. Like, I've checked twice since, like, just to be sure, you know. And that's all. That all stems from that, isn't it? That all stems from if that's the goal, to be there to see whatever is to do that what you can.
Last thing I always ask, is there one thing or one piece of advice you could give to men to improve their health that they could do today? What would it be?
I would say mental health. If you've got kids, give them a cuddle. I find that the biggest endorphin I could ever do. Or
your own kids.
Your own kids, obviously. Yeah. I'm not saying some random kid down the street.
Right. Just
just disclaimer there. Yeah.
Good.
So if you got something, let me reword that. Yeah.
I just want to be super clear what we're offering here.
Just saying it. But yeah, if you've got or your family member nearby, because I do think that men don't. I think that I read different studies and read different things, and I read that physical connection for men is far greater than vocal affirmation.
Definitely,
like if someone can give you a cuddle, or someone you love, or someone like that can give you not just a pat on the back, but like a genuine embrace that boosts your endorphin level more than anything else. I think that would be a top one. Another one is plenty of sleep.
Nice.
That'd be one.
Match that.
I would say one thing I do every day is I go for a walk. Normally it's with my dog, but if not, then I'll go for a walk. It could be a 5-minute walk. It could be a half an hour walk. But I don't put my earphones in, and I don't look at my phone, and I'm just present in that moment, because I'm at that age now where birds are interesting and flowers are interesting and things like that. And especially around springtime, when you see all the things are changing, and like that gives you a rush of happiness of seeing just nature doing its thing. Even if you're in the middle of London, like you'll be walking through and you'll see like a bird making its nest somewhere, like that little thing really just gives me great joy in seeing it. And then you get back and you've done your exercise, because you feel like even the smallest walk, your legs will feel like you've done something. You got your fresh air, maybe not in the middle of London, but you've still got some fresh air, and you feel like even if that's all you've done all day, you've achieved that aspect of getting out. You know?
They're really good. I like those. Last thing before we finish. Again, I am a professional and highly qualified doctor. We are going to play one more game, and it's a challenge for both of you. I'm going to list 12 words. One of them is going to be a medical problem, or it could be a spell from Harry Potter, obviously. Okay. And I want you to try and guess whether it's a spell or a symptom in a little game we like to call Magic or Medical.
Okay.
I did have a theme tune. The theme tune was vetoed.
If I hear erectile dysfunction, I know which one that is.
Oh, that's number 12, God. Do you have a mate who's going through a rough patch right now? Share this with them today, because one conversation can change a life. Number 1, Fumos.
Medical.
Spell.
One to James.
I thought it was Lumos.
The thumos is apparently thick clouds of smoke.
Oh, I thought it was a fungus on your foot.
Satyriasis.
Medical.
Correct. Excessive sexual desire in males, apparently. Fourniers.
Medical.
Yes.
Correct. It's a really horrible bacterial infection you get under the scrotum and genitals, and it's life-threatening.
Wow.
Staphylococcal infection, horrible thing.
What causes that?
It can be
Asking for a
fungus,
friend. Right.
but it starts as a relatively mild thing and then spreads, and you often see it in people impaired immune systems or diabetes, and it's a
Oh, wow.
terrible, terrible thing. Tarantalegra.
I'm going to say
Spell.
spell.
Correct. Tarantalegra forces someone to dance.
Yes.
Apparently so.
Yes.
Densugio.
Spell.
Damn, you guys are good.
I'm only assuming it's
Yeah.
because you obviously
I'm
know
looking
how
at
to
words
say
you've
that.
never said
Well,
before.
there's a lot of medical stuff I don't know either. Densugio is making someone's teeth grow.
Yeah.
Again, it's not real, so I don't know. Capgrass.
Medical.
Yeah, medical.
Correct. These are patients who it's a mental illness where people believe that their loved ones have been replaced by imposters or strangers.
Oh, wow.
Is that?
Part of a psychosis.
I was going to say, does that go into like dementia and that kind of?
I don't think so much dementia, but a type of hallucination or delusional problem
Okay.
where you would believe people were different, but you could probably get at younger ages. Formication.
Medical.
Medical, yeah.
Damn, yeah. So that's the sensation of insects crawling under your skin.
When would you have that, apart from on
So
acid?
it's actually really common.
Okay.
Well, not really common, that's not true. But there's the sensation of people feeling like their skin is itchy
Yeah.
is actually really common when there's no medical problem we can find. And
Oh,
we often
wow,
refer these patients to dermatology. And it's really hard because dermatologists are there going, well, there's nothing to fight. We can't give you it. So we have to treat them with mental health medications. Right. And the patient's like, well, I don't have a mental health problem. I'm itchy. And it creates real problems. And it becomes more extreme. And that's a sensation of insects crawling underneath.
Can that be almost like you sometimes get it with your teeth, don't you? Like you think that this tooth is hurting, but actually it's the one down here. And it's almost like your brain sending different waves.
I think if it's all over body, it tends to be more psychogenic, in which case it's much harder, but a very hard group of patients to treat, really. A pugno.
Simpsons.
Simpsons.
I thought you said Simpsons.
I did, yeah. I would say spell.
Spell?
Spell.
Correct. It's the causes objects to attack things. Yeah. Chronotaraxis.
Medical.
Spell.
It's medical. Chronotaraxis is a really weird mental health problem where people have the perception of time disorientating. So they either feel that time is much, much longer or much, much shorter, and you get this real disorientation between what is real time out there. Seconds can last for years or vice versa.
Okay.
And it's really, really odd. Yeah. But it's a non-linear aspect of time. Ferula.
Spell.
Spell?
Yep. Conjuring bandages. I thought it was a bit more medical.
Practical.
Fregoli.
Spell.
Spell.
Medical.
Oh.
Yeah. Fregoli is the belief that there are multiple strangers, or maybe an actual single person is shifting or disguising themselves. So it could be like shape changing, that sort of stuff. So you get it again in delusional psychosis.
Right. Okay.
How many people would have this condition for there to be a study to come up with a name for this?
Most of them have been on this podcast.
Yeah.
I think these are quite rare,
Is it?
to be
Yeah.
fair, but Coro.
Coro. Spell.
Medical.
It's medical. Coro is a really rare and unusual condition where you have an intense fear that your genitals are shrinking. And it's real. I haven't made that up. So you believe that your testicles are retracting or shrinking into your body.
Oh, wow.
True story. And I have to say, sadly, or congratulations, that means that Ollie, you win 2-1.
Oh.
That makes you the medical expert of extremely rare and partially made up medical things.
Excellent. Excellent.
Congratulations. Ollie, James, thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely brilliant. If people want to know what you're up to next or where they should follow you, how's best to stalk you?
Yeah. Instagram's probably the best place. Oliver Phelps on Instagram. And your James Phelps pictures.
Thanks for having me.
There he is. There he is.
Do you know when we were doing the promo for the baking show, Wizards of Baking out now, I realised how out of touch I am with the world of online, as it were. Like I'm very, you probably guessed I'm very outdoorsy and that kind of stuff. So my I didn't know what a 6-7 thing was. I didn't know what like
So last year, God.
none of it. I had no idea.
Children,
So,
I know all that.
anyway, thank you very much for running my Instagram.
Okay, thanks, guys.
That's on. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode of Man Alive, you would love this one. Go on, press it. Click now. Press it now.